We're starting off a bit cloudy today. You can see low cloud over the rock there. That's showing a cloud base about 1,000 foot. So that may well hamper aircraft coming in today. Now this is the front deck area on the boat. Me and Fiona want to make more use of this area. We want to put railings up really. Railings were taken off many years ago. There's the hatch down into Ben's bedroom. There's the satellite dish for the internet. But it's a nice area, it's a big area. I don't think the weight... we used to have a paddling pool here in the summer, and it was great to just get in. And we had a dinghy on here. We filled the dinghy with water once and just got in it. That was superb. There's the winch. That's all bronze. This is all from the 1960s. This boat is a late 60s boat. That still works. I stripped it, connected it to a battery, and it actually works still. Well, it did last time I played with it. You can see the roof's hanging off a bit there on that corner. So we need to address that. Wind turbine up on the roof there. Got that out the bin. Someone threw it away because it was noisy. So I just sent off for 2 new bearings for it and put a new bearing in there. Replaced the one that was gone, and it works great. I think the bearing was about 30 quid, and a new wind turbine, Rutland 913, they're about £500, something like that.
Today. Slight change of scene today. I've been repainting my bow in this very expensive paint, and hopefully it will hold next year and the year after and for several years, so I don't have to keep doing it. This video is all about boats, what it's like to live on a boat, and also an ambition of mine that I've had for years. I want to design and build my own ROV, underwater exploratory vehicle. And I've been watching someone on another platform. I've been watching some videos of a very, very clever person who gave me some brilliant ideas, very, very interesting. All about it. They were basically talking about the accident that happened, the tragedy with the submarine. But it gave me ideas, and my idea is I'd like to be able to look underneath my own boat and examine it with a remote control type of device. But I want to design one myself. It's something I've been sort of looking into on and off over the years. I've just never had any time.
Good afternoon, everybody. Well, here we are. I've been boring everyone with my flight simulators, so I thought I'd better make a different video, because I know some people like it, but others don't. So don't watch the flight sim videos if you don't want to, okay? If you're not interested, don't watch them. But we were talking this morning, and Fiona was talking about ROVs. These are remotely controlled vehicles. Now,
I was just looking at this. I was just wondering why that was like that.
Oh, it got wired up backwards, and it blew a fuse inside or something. It's probably my fault. But this is what Fiona had before. This is a camera. It's got lights on the front of it, and a camera, HD camera, in the middle. And the idea was you lower it below the boat, and in the box you've got a
TV screen.
A monitor, yeah, but it's very difficult because of the bright lights and things. And one of the ideas that I had was to build the ROV around this, because this is already a built-in underwater camera ready to go. We need to get a monitor for it.
But this is great. This is great, but when I bought it, I discovered very quickly the issues with it. It is a brilliant camera.
You can't steer it.
Yeah,
You've got no directional.
You can't control it at all. So, I mean, that was years ago we bought that. I ordered...
But to be fair, this is a fish cam, and you're supposed to tow it behind the boat.
And it's got a great plastic mount at the back. You
tow it behind the boat, which is great for that application, but we don't want it for that. We want it for looking around, and we want to be able to steer it. Or a similar camera. I mean, this is just an idea. And this is Fiona's baby, by the way, the ROV. And it would be really cool to have a camera that you can go exploring and looking for things. Obviously picking something up off the bottom is a
That's
lot more
another-
complicated thing.
that
But
is-
we're not
yeah.
going to go there to start us off with.
No, I'm not interested in
We're
that
looking
really.
at what we're looking at is we want to be able to go down about 30 metres, which is less than 100 feet. It's about 90
I want to
feet.
go down. My ultimate is 1,000 feet.
Well, yeah, but initially, I mean, you can buy them on Amazon, but they're like €2,000. So
they don't
we're
go
gonna-
that. They don't
no,
go
they
that
do. They
deep.
go to 90 metres, to 30 metres, 90 feet. You can get them.
No, but not to 1,000 feet. That's
No.
what I'm looking at.
No, they're serious money.
But
ROV.
not necessarily. It's like when people say it costs a lot of money to own a boat. It doesn't. What it requires is a lot of time and effort
That's true.
and energy. So my prototype, I want to test out the basic principles, and if I can do it in 10, 20 feet of water,
Yeah.
then I will design something that's larger, that can go deeper.
What I
and
reckon,
so on and so
you
on.
get a radio control boat or something like that, which has got servos for the rudders to go left and right. But you need 2 sets of servos, you need 2 sets of rudders, you need rudders and you need hydrofoils. Now I said years ago, you know, with aeroplanes, the wings on the aeroplane is curved on the top and flat on the bottom. That's to give you lift. Well, if you reverse that and put curved on the bottom and flat on the top, as it goes forward, it'll create lift, which essentially is going the opposite direction, isn't it? I mean, they put similar things on F1 racing cars, but you wouldn't need anything as big as a wing because the water is a lot more dense than air. But you could effectively have an aeroplane that flies underwater. What you got to do is put the nose down, hydrofoils down a little bit, but maybe wings
They're all
aren't the way
very
to go.
different.
Maybe it's all
What
done
you're
in the
talking
tail like
about
a
are
whale.
all very, very different aspects of it. You've got to deal with each aspect at a time.
Yeah,
And that's what you're talking about there, is you haven't even resolved propulsion or range. Range is another big thing. Now, I saw a guy on YouTube years ago, quite a small channel, and he discovered by accident, you know when you get a kid's remote control car, obviously there's a range. The cheaper they are, the shorter the range. He just happened to have some copper wiring laid out on his lawn, and the toy car, it was quite a big garden apparently, the toy car was at the other end of the garden, and his little kid started playing with it, and it was moving, and he's like, my God, that's 100 yards away, that's way out of the range.
it was using
And he
wire.
just discovered that the radio waves were going down the wire. So my umbilical cord, that's a whole other thing, because I don't want it totally remote control. I want it. And some people have said, you know, why don't we dive on the boat? The idea of it is not just to look at the underside of our boat. I've got much bigger ideas and plans, which I'm not going to say at the moment. If I can get it working. But yeah, that fish is great. And I did order some little propellers to go with it, but they just never arrived. Banggood or something. I waited months and they never turned up, and then I got a refund. So I don't know what happened there. But what I'm going to do today is watch a load of videos on how to build my own remote control device. So I've got the shafts, propellers and motors coming, that I need to be able to communicate with them through a control. Otherwise, if I just turn them on and we put it in the water, even if we've got it on a piece of string, it's just going to zzz, you know, and then you've got to retrieve
You've
it
got to be
to...
able to control it.
You've
yeah.
got to be able to control the speed, the
And
depth,
you can't
the
see
angle.
it, so you've got to have some sort of camera. And this is the other
Absolutely.
thing. This is the other thing. I'm reliably informed that it's pitch dark underwater below 400 feet. No sunlight can penetrate.
Right.
400 feet. So unless you fit your ROV with big spot lamps, you're not going to see anything at all.
Yeah.
And what we need to do is start off with a very basic one and evolve it and make it
Yeah,
better
so
versions of it.
I want to learn all the principles of remote control.
Why don't you just buy the €1,800 version
No.
that does 90 feet?
Steady on, money
It's got
bags.
cameras, it's
No,
got lights,
no.
it's got everything, it's ready to go, just put it in the water.
Yeah, and then what if you have a problem with it? That's such a lot of expense to lose.
You can
No
pay
way,
extra
Graham.
for insurance for 1 year or 3 years.
No way.
According to on Amazon.com, it's there.
Do they have orca insurance as well?
No.
Well, no, my idea is
Well, for start off, just here in the marina.
to have something so simple and effective that I would have a series of them before going exploring. So if you lose one, you've got another one, and if you lose that, you've got another one. I'm not going to spend £1,800
I've had
10
an
times
idea. I've had
over.
an idea. VR headset. because you've got all the sunlight.
That's a
and
possibility, yeah.
If you could get it to work with a VR headset, you could be there.
But like I say, these are all aspects
360 camera.
of it that you're looking at. That's
Or maybe
the thing.
just a full head camera.
An ROV does many, many things.
It certainly does. And the other thing you brought up in your video this morning, because I've nicked a piece of your video to copy in this video.
I'm going to copyright strike him for that.
She said I could. Anyway,
No, I didn't.
I've nicked a bit of it anyway, of you talking this morning on the boat. And the other thing that you said, which I've only cut a little bit out, was talking about people living on boats.
Oh yeah.
Now you can buy boats. People get skint and they just abandon the boat. And
Yeah.
marinas all around the world, you can go and see the marina manager and say to him, have you got any abandoned boats that haven't been... And they've just accumulated thousands and thousands of debt for the parking fees that they haven't paid. And what actually happens is the marina slap a notice on these boats and say it's impounded, we're impounding this vessel until you're paid, and then the people have gone, they ain't coming back because the value exceeds the value of the boat. And so what they're looking for is a new owner to come and buy it. And you can pick these boats up very cheap, subject to a deal with the marina manager, because he might want you to stay there a few years to pay off some of the money that, I don't know, depends on the marina manager. Some marina managers you can deal with, others you can't. And I know loads of people who've bought boats like that really cheap, and they've literally got them for like 50 quid, £50, £100, a big yacht. And they've been a bit tatty because the people have just abandoned them for years, but you can buy boats to live on if you're prepared to clean them up and tidy them up
It's
yourself.
a very cheap way to live, actually, because marina moorings
Yeah.
are a lot less.
How much are we paying in Brighton?
£280 a month.
What's the lecky?
It was nothing. That's
And
nothing.
we had a diesel heater, so I had to buy diesel from the garage.
Yeah, we had a carpet heater. I saw a video this morning by a girl who said 10 reasons not to buy a boat. And I watched the whole thing. And although everything she says is true, she should really have called the video 10 reasons not to buy a canal boat in the UK. Because one of her complaints was security, people on the towpath. A lot of her complaints would be cured if your boat was in a marina. Security for one. You don't get members of the public climbing on your boat or staring in your window. There was just so much stuff, and I thought, and she had to continually move the boat because you do know. But she went into somewhere like St Catherine's Docks. I don't know exactly which river she's on. I'm assuming it's somewhere in London. A lot of those problems, they just go away. They melt away.
Yeah.
And also I think it's a good video actually, because she obviously didn't think it through at all. She said things like, you've got to be a plumber, electrician, carpenter, you've got to be everything, you've got to be inventive. And she said, I can't do anything. Well, don't buy a boat. If you like that, don't buy a boat. And she was like, it's amazing, I try and phone a plumber or someone to fix the boat and they don't come just like that. Well, they don't.
Yeah.
That is a big part of being a boat owner.
We've got a washing machine, we don't use it.
I never use it.
Because it pumps bubbles out into the sea and then the marina will complain. So you really need to have a tank that will collect all that water. Same with the toilets. And you can't, especially canal boats.
Graham, we never use it because there are laundry facilities.
Yes, you can't pump sewage into the canal.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't pump various things.
But there are facilities in a marina.
I was watching this channel with this young lady. I showed you the young lady had a young child.
Yeah, they were doing really well.
She was doing her washing in a bucket, right? Rubbing the washing in and out of this bucket. A little girl playing next to the canal bank, and I thought, that's. You got to go to the laundry, really. You got to go to the laundrette. You got to go to the shops.
But again, the marina provide everything, don't they?
Marinas. I don't know. I've never lived on a longboat, a narrowboat.
Yeah, it's a totally different
to living in a marina on a proper boat.
Having said that, I would love to own a canal boat.
Yeah, I'm not saying canal boats are not proper boats.
A massive thing for me, Graham, was that she didn't even know how to do engine checks. She doesn't, she quite confessed she knows nothing about plumbing.
Yeah.
If that's the case, like a lot of people say before they buy a boat, get a marine survey done. We've never done that. I think if you feel you need a marine surveyor, you're not the kind of person
You don't
to buy
know what
a
you're
boat.
buying. Yeah.
You've got to be your own engineer, your own plumber, your own carpenter, your own electrician.
Yeah.
You've got to invent things. I was watching PewDiePie this morning, and he's got a 3D printer, and he did amazing things with it. You've got to be inventive, like our boss.
We knew a marine surveyor in Brighton, and I'm not going to say his name, but he'd come down. He'd charge you 250 quid to come down, look at the boat, and he'd look the boat over, and he'd go around poking
and he'd just go, no good,
and say, don't buy it. And that's him.
Because that way he was getting his 250 quid and he wasn't liable. He never ever passed a boat. And on his website he claimed he got his whatever degree on an indigenous island that subsequently sunk.
So all records have been lost.
He's an absolute idiot.
Scam artist.
Yeah, he is a scam artist, and
Proper
unfortunately he still shows up very high on Google, but I won't name him.
But think about it, if you've got a bathtub that's made of fiberglass, right, and you put it in the water, it's going to float, isn't it? Unless the plug hole comes out, and then it's going to fill with water. And you've got to look at a boat like that, you've got to think to yourself, is it going to leak, is it going to take on water? Have a look around. Because they're not. It's not rocket science. It's quite straightforward.
You can see if there has been water persistently coming in, especially in a wooden hull. Yeah. Don't know about. I've never had a metal boat, so I don't know. But even on a fiberglass one, you can't. There are like seacocks. They're where you've got a hose coming out at the hull, and there's a hole in the hull, and it's like a shut-off valve. Or quite often the handles rot away and come off. That's quite indicative. There could be a problem. All the handles had come off ours.
And you get electrolysis, osmosis and stuff like this, and you have to have anodes, the zinc anodes, and there's different for fresh water.
Oh, you could do a degree on.
Oh, it's very complicated, because basically what happens is your propellers start to dissolve and they get smaller. And you're like, whoa.
And if you can't get
but if you put these anodes on, the anodes dissolve instead of the propeller. That's basically what it's about.
If you are in a position, because normally you take your boat out of the water to have anodes fitted, but if you're in a position of a boat like ours that it's complicated to take it out because the engine doesn't run or you're stuck somewhere, you can actually dangle one over the side on a string.
On a wire,
near
as long as it's earth to the something.
Yes. You see, what happened in Marina Bay was, it used to be owned, they used to have a boatyard, so all the boat owners could take their boats out of the water regularly. But the people who owned it sold it to a property developer who built a whole village on the boatyard, so there was no more boatyard, and this marina didn't exist then. So the boats over the years, none of them could come out of the water, including this one. None of them could, there was nowhere to take them, and the engines ceased after a time. And then eventually they built this marina, and they were getting on with it quite well actually, weren't they, in 2008, and a hurricane came along and blew away all their work, so they had to start again. And I think this place opened in 2011 finally, but I think Shepherd's Marina was sold in 2004 or
I don't know,
something like that.
I don't remember.
So it's a considerable time.
A lot of boats that people live on in the marinas, they don't move. They don't move anywhere, and the engines don't run because they haven't run them for years.
A lot of them are like that. Yes.
Some boats you can buy, they don't even have any engines because they've pulled them out and put a new wine cellar in. You know,
that was in a film once.
It was, and a lot of the yachties, their engines run because they're only tiny little engines to get you in and out.
They
the
very
marina
rarely go anywhere, though. I mean, I never see the boats
most people.
much.
Most people don't go out very much on the boats. Even our mate here, he takes it out now and then for a run if the weather's nice and the sea's flat. Other than that, they just come and stay on it, use it as a holiday home.
Yeah, a lot of people do that.
It's a cheap way to have a holiday home.
And yachts, sailing yachts, are very, very cheap. I know people pay crazy money. They pay 50, 60, 70,000 pounds, and I think, why are you doing that? Because I could pick a magazine up tomorrow and find a yacht similar size, £3,000, no problem. £3,000. They're very cheap.
We pay about £6,000 a year
on the moorings.
On the moorings to park this here. That's plus electricity, plus water.
Yeah.
Which is nothing really.
Get free
what's
parking.
That, £500 a month rent for a 2-bedroom floating apartment.
Yeah.
See it that way. Yeah.
And they give us security.
Yeah.
And all the other facilities. Free parking.
There's a laundress. There's
everything.
There's the showers, the latrines, everything. Yeah.
It's
and there's
fantastic.
bars here. There's one bar in the marina, and there's one just there, and there's one over there. So and we used the Hong Kong lot, which is the furthest
Actually,
one away, and that's about half a mile away.
The guy who's in charge of Marina Bay these days has done a fantastic job actually fixing it up. I mean, fabulous job. And he's done it on a pretty good budget. I think he said they spent something like 6 million, which to rebuild an entire marina I think is impressive. And he's done a really nice job, and he was in charge of the project at St Catherine's Docks, I think, in
There's
London.
only one criticism I've got, and I think they need a more substantial sea defence at the entrance to where the end of the runway is.
I do believe that's on...
Because you do get surges coming in, and if they do that, if they build a proper sea defence there, the marina will be perfect.
I do believe that's on the cards.
But without
I'm
that,
pretty sure he told me they're going to be doing
when
that.
the wind and the waves are in the right direction, it'll cause
Yeah.
a lot of surging and damage.
Yeah.
But that's the only criticism I've got of it. It's really good other than that, isn't it?
They haven't had any damage since he's redesigned it.
Well, there hasn't been any big storms since 2014,
No, there hasn't been a big one like that. But
was it?
I still think what he's done is magnificent. Magnificent. It's definitely well worth checking out Marina Bay. I mean, my stories of Marina Bay are from years ago.
Oh,
you know,
God,
the
there was
place
a
is
different manager in those days, and he was an imbecile.
yeah. That's a medical term.
And you
Stop
know
it.
who you are. I'm not going to name you,
Yeah, I think he's
just
dead.
in case he's watching or his mates are
I
watching.
think he's dead now.
I've got a message for you.
Oh,
And yes, I would do it to your face.
nothing you have done in the past.
I have.
All right.
That's enough about that. Right,
That's
so
enough about that.
that's about living on boats and building your ROV. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
This was Fiona's thing. I think I wired it 12 volts, and I put the wires on
I
the
think it
wrong
was one
way
of the-
round on the battery, and the little fuse inside went pop.
I think it was one of the kids and their mates.
But it was working, and then I connected it up again, and it didn't work. But you've got like a little window. This is all Velcro because there's a screen there.
So
You can get these LED screens now really cheap. But
Well, maybe we could just buy another.
This is a black and white one. But that's just keep the sun, because you've got to be squint to see the screen when it's on. And as I say, it's only 12 volts or 6 volt, I can't remember.
I'm sure we could buy another little screen if you really wanted to
And
try
that
with
connected
the
up
fish.
to record. That's the recording device, so you can record
That's
what you're
right,
seeing.
yeah, that was another expense, wasn't it?
But again,
Oh,
it's
what are these? These must be weights.
work in progress. Yeah,
These must be weights.
it's a weight for the
Because
for the
normally
fish.
fishermen tow them behind the boat.
They do. It's a fishing camera, this one, by
Yeah.
the way. But we thought originally we'll do something like that. We'll build something around this, which we probably will do to start off with, the basic model, and see how we get on. Unless we get distracted and other things take over our life
Yeah,
again.
that always happens, doesn't it? It always
Yeah.
happens. Maybe not so much in the winter.
We're having a good summer together so far. Yeah.
so
Every
far, so
Scouser's
good.
dream to be on the sick. Thanks for watching. Good night, and may your God go with you.